Welcome, everyone. As we follow the Chumash here and the Daf with today's Mishna Yomis, and we are learning Ilui Nishmas, Basi Bas Rabbi, Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Pearl Bas Ruvain, sponsored by the Fisher family. Also, Ilui Nishmas Avram Yeshaya ben Shmayo Yosef, Fush Shalem Fel Yomis Mechai Sarah, for the schus of Avram ben Yom Benish ben Malki Yehudis and family. We learn, sponsored by Yoel Klugman and family, or Fush Shalem Fel Victor Hayim ben Rivka, and Meir ben Chai Sarah, and Shmuel Yehuda ben Chava, that they should have a refuah shalema b'seich shar chayil Yisrael. We are holding the 10th parak with Mishnah Vav and Mishnah Zayin. Ben teisha shanim v'yayim echad, a child that's 9 years old and 1 day. So he is roy labia, but he's not an adult yet. So let's say Reuven was married to Sarah, and Reuven dies, and Sarah falls to Shimon, who's 9 years old and 1 day. So who paisel al yedei achin? He disqualifies her if he has beer with her, or he makes a mimer with her. He disqualifies her to the other brothers. V'achim paisel al yodai, and the brothers disqualify him. Well, of course, if the brothers have beer with her initially, then of course, if Levi has beer with Sarah, then she becomes his wife. Or if he makes a mimer. Ella shehu paisel tchila. The 9-year-old only passes in the beginning. If he gives mimer in the beginning, then he passes the other brothers. But the achim paisel tchila v'seif. But the brothers passel with mimer in the beginning and in the end. And as the Gemara explains now as follows. Ketzad, what does this mean? Ben teisha shanim v'yayim echad sheba al yevimtai pasal al yedei achim. If a 9-year-old makes a mimer or bia, he disqualifies the brothers in the beginning. But if a brother gives a mimer and then he gives a mimer afterwards, his mimer afterwards does not disqualify the brother. His bia afterwards, and the Gemara says that there's a chsurei mechzera, as the Rav brings down, that's only with mimer. But bia, if an adult brother does mimer and then he does bia even after the mimer, then he does disqualify. But if he does bia, bo'oleh achin, if the brother, an adult, after the bia of the cotton does bia, or v'asaba mimer, or after the bia of the cotton, an older brother does a mimer, nosna get, or gives a get to the zika, oy cholzu, or does chalitza, paslu al yadai. So the power of a adult to disqualify even after the bia of the minor is that if the minor did bia first and then the adult did anything, bia, mimer, get to the zika, or chalitza, he'll disqualify the younger brother. Of course, if an older brother does bia first, the older brother's bia is kainahar, and then there's nothing to be done after that. If the older brother does mimer first, the mimer of the 9-year-old after the older brother's mimer will not interfere. The bia of the 9-year-old will interfere after the mimer of an adult. Now, let's say Reuven is married to Sarah. Reuven dies, and she falls to Shimon and Levi, who are both 9-year-olds, or one's a 9-year-old and one's a 10-year-old. So ben tesha shanim v'yamechad shabal yavimtai. If Shimon has bia with Sarah, and then afterwards Levi has bia, since Shimon doesn't acquire her entirely, there's room for Levi's bia to also be chal, and therefore they both passel each other. Pasal al yadai. They disqualify one another, and neither of them can then continue to live with her. Rabbi Shimon Aimer loy pasal. Rabbi Shimon says that if Shimon has bia with her, then Levi's bia with subsequent bia with her doesn't passel Shimon, because it's the opinion of Rabbi Shimon that either the bia of a 9-year-old acquires her completely or doesn't do anything. So if it acquires her completely, so then she's already Shimon's wife, and Levi's bia does nothing. If it doesn't acquire her at all, so then Levi's bia doesn't acquire either at all, and therefore Shimon could continue to live with her until he becomes of age, and then his bia with her will fulfill the mitzvah. We want to thank you very much for joining us. Tomorrow night, the Daf Yomi is at 8 o'clock. Also, there'll be sometime tomorrow for the Shabbos table on Parshas Vayishlach, and hopefully either Thursday night or Motzei Shabbos there'll be a chok. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.